You ever have that feeling of being stuck? Like you know you want to change, but something just keeps holding you back? Well, today we're going to dive deep into the science of how to actually get unstuck and make real, lasting changes in your life. We'll be pulling from neuroscience, psychology, some of the top performers out there. It's going to be good. Let's jump right in.
So let's start with this quote from Tony Robbins, because honestly, it gets right to the heart of everything we're talking about today. It's not about your circumstances, it's about your decisions. Every single big change you'll ever make in your life, it all starts with that one clear, conscious choice.
All right, that leads us perfectly into our first section, the power of a decision. And this is a huge idea. It's about making a fundamental shift, from being what you might call a manager of circumstance, where you're just constantly reacting to whatever life throws your way, to actually becoming the creator of your own life. And you can see the contrast right here, can't you? On one side, you're just passively experiencing life. Events feel like they control you. That's where all that stress and anxiety comes from, right? But when you make a real decision, you flip over to the other side. You start taking responsibility, you make a choice, and bam, suddenly you're back in the driver's seat. But here's the thing. A decision, it isn't just a wish or a nice thought. So when does it become real? It becomes real the moment you back it up with immediate action. You have to do something, anything really, that commits you to that new path. Okay, so you've made the decision, you're ready to go, but then, why does it feel like you're fighting yourself every step of the way? Well, that brings us to our next section, your brain's hidden rules. We're going to look at exactly why change feels so incredibly hard, especially at first. And the big reason is actually pretty simple. Your brain is designed to be an energy-saving machine. It wants to run on autopilot as much as possible. As neuroscientist Andrew Huberman often explains, your brain's goal is to turn behaviors into reflexes or habits so it can save all that precious mental energy for bigger, more complex problems. The channel Kurzgesagt has this fantastic analogy that just perfectly captures this internal battle. Think of it like you've got two parts of you. There's the wise planner, that's your conscious mind, the one that sets those awesome long-term goals. But then you've also got the impulsive toddler. And that toddler is in charge of all your old habits. It doesn't care about the future. It just wants what's easy, what's familiar, and what feels good right now. So what gets that little toddler going? It all comes down to something called a habit trigger. This can be anything really, a certain time of day, a place you're in, even a feeling. It's basically a cue that signals your brain, hey, time to run that old automatic program. It's exactly why you might suddenly find yourself scrolling through your phone without even remembering picking it up. But here's the good news. We are not stuck with that toddler running the show. We can actually use our brain's own chemistry to our advantage to literally rewrite its code. And that brings us to the chemistry of motivation. So Dr. Andrew Huberman breaks down the science of how our brain changes, what's called neuroplasticity, into three really key steps. First, you need alertness. This is your brain going, whoa, pay attention, something important is happening. Then you need intense focus to actually direct that change. And finally, you need a sense of reward. This is what tells your brain, yes, that was the right thing to do, let's do it again. And this is the part that is so crucial. The reward system, it's entirely internal. You don't need a cookie or a gold star. You can learn to trigger that reward yourself, just by acknowledging your own effort. Just mentally telling yourself, hey, good job, I'm on the right path. That alone can release the dopamine you need to stay motivated. So when you combine that alertness, that focus, and that internal reward, what you're doing is basically putting a big, bright flag on the exact brain circuits you want to change. You're telling your brain, this one right here, this is what I want to keep. And then the really amazing part is that the actual physical rewiring, that happens later, when you're in deep sleep or just resting. Okay, knowing the science is one thing. That's great. But how do we actually do this? How do we physically get ourselves into these states of alertness and focus? Well, that's what Section 4 is all about. Your body's control panel. We're talking about simple, practical tools you can use to change your state, like right now. The core principle here, and if you take away one thing, this should be it, is that your behavior is the control panel for your mind. Most of us wait to feel motivated before we act. This flips it. You use your actions to create the feeling of motivation. It is the fastest lever you have to change how you think and feel. And here's a super powerful tool you can use anytime, anywhere. It's called the physiological sigh. Dr. Huberman talks about this a lot. It's just
a double inhale through your nose, and then a long, slow exhale through your mouth. That's it. And it is literally the fastest way built into your biology to calm your nervous system down when you feel stressed or agitated. And get this, you can even control your mental state just by using your eyes. Think about it. When you narrow your vision and focus on one thing, like your phone screen, that's focal vision. It naturally increases your alertness. But if you do the opposite, if you deliberately soften your gaze and take in the whole room, that's panoramic vision. And doing that immediately tells your brain to calm down and relax. All right, so we've got the decision, we understand the brain, and we have some tools to control our state. So how do we put all these pieces together to build something that lasts? That's our final section, building your new self. This is all about how these tiny, deliberate actions can actually forge a whole new identity. And nobody captures the mindset for this better than David Goggins. He talks about how you have to get obsessed with the idea that this is my new norm. Real transformation happens when you stop looking at that new, positive action as this difficult thing you have to force yourself to do. It just becomes your new standard. It's not negotiable. It's just who you are now. So what does that look like in practice? The path is actually really simple. You start with an action that's so tiny, it's almost laughable, like doing one single push-up. Then you attach it to something you already do every day, like right before your morning coffee. The key is consistency, not intensity. You internally reward yourself just for showing up, and you just keep repeating that until your impulsive toddler brain finally gets the message and starts doing it automatically. No fight involved. And that brings us to maybe the most important insight of all. We think we need to find self-respect or confidence or peace before we can do the hard work, but it's the complete opposite. Those things aren't the starting line, they're the finish line. They are the result of taking action. You find peace on the other side of the work. So after all this, after learning that we can take control of our state, that we can understand our brain's weird little rules, and that we can use our own body as a control panel for our mind, there's really only one question left to ask yourself. And that is, who could you become if you truly decided?